It started as many crises do, with an unsuspecting board of directors and a PR team thrown into a fire on what should have been a typical day for a growing startup. On July 16th, during a Coldplay concert in Boston, everybody knows the story by now, a kiss cam landed on a man and a woman canoodling, which would normally be reason for the pair to kiss on camera. But their reaction, she buried her face and turned her back to the camera while he ducked out of view, created, how shall we say, a deliciously mortifying internet frenzy as amateur sleuths got to work on identifying them. By now, like I said, most of us know the story and have probably chuckled at some of the memes and reenactments from other kiss cams in the days following. My personal favorite was at the Phillies game the next night. The video of the pair's reaction went viral fast. It was all over TikTok and Reddit, and then TMZ picked it up and so did Page Six. There were even posts on LinkedIn where I made a joke about the B2B marketing lessons to be had from it. There are no B2B marketing lessons. It didn't matter if it was professional or personal, everyone had something to say about it. By mid-morning the next day, the internet had already done what the internet does best. It speculated wildly, joked mercilessly, and filled the silence with screenshots of a supposed apology from the CEO. At that point, the story was everywhere. Still, no official word from the company. Not a post, not a placeholder, not even a "we're looking into it." It was complete silence. It wasn't until more than 24 hours later that the company put out a statement. And look, there are dozens of reasons why a company might delay: lawyers, HR, reviews, contracts with ethical clauses, board positions and equity, and to be honest, sure panic, right? But in 2025, where every phone is a camera and every meme is a news cycle, waiting a day is not caution, it's negligence. On this week's Spin Sucks podcast episode, we'll unpack what went wrong, why timing is everything in a crisis, and how comms teams can prepare for the moments they never saw coming, like, say, a kiss cam at a Coldplay concert.
If you're a communications pro who works hard, doesn't compromise quality, and gets the job done, welcome home. We'll share our tips, tricks, and stories, and together we will change the face of PR. Spin sucks, but we don't. With the Spin Sucks podcast, here's Jenny Dietrich.
Welcome back to the Spin Sucks podcast. I'm Jenny Dietrich. The Coldplay kiss cam may seem like a one-off viral oddity, an awkward moment caught on camera, blown out of proportion by the internet. But for communications pros, it's something else entirely. It's a flashing neon warning sign that we are living in a whole new crisis reality. The media cycle isn't 24 hours anymore. It's 2.4 milliseconds. And those milliseconds don't wait for legal to review the holding statement. They fill with speculation, memes, misinformation, and if you're unlucky, a fake apology that looks exactly like something your team should have posted had anyone posted anything at all. Crises don't come with calendar invites. They happen when someone hits record at the wrong moment, when a disgruntled employee forwards an email, when an executive forgets that they're in public, or worse, doesn't care, when someone with a camera and a TikTok account posts a funny moment at a concert. These are not hypothetical risks. They are expected variables, which means crisis planning can't be limited to natural disasters, fires or explosions, and data breaches anymore. If executive misconduct, white-collar crime, or personal scandal aren't in your scenario planning, it's time to update the playbook. And while a kiss cam at a concert may not be part of your threat matrix, it is now, but you can certainly plan for what happens when an executive does something they shouldn't have done, even if said executive is in the room during your scenario planning. The world we live in today demands faster instincts, stronger infrastructure, and a built-in understanding that your brand's reputation doesn't live on your about page. It lives in public constantly, and it's co-authored by everyone with a camera and a cellular connection. You don't control when a crisis begins, but you do control how ready you are. And no, we'll deal with it when it happens is not a strategy. That's wishful thinking with a news release template attached. The brands that survive reputation-threatening moments with credibility intact, they're not lucky. They're prepared, because true crisis communication starts before anything goes wrong. That means building a proactive crisis plan, one that includes not only the obvious data breach, product failure, physical disaster, but also the increasingly common executive misconduct, personal scandals with professional fallout, financial mismanagement or theft, white collar investigations, and viral moments with unclear origins. Take a minute right now and ask your AI tool of choice to help you brainstorm additional scenarios. I'll bet it comes up with some things you've never even considered, such as recalled products, unexpected death of an employee. We once dealt with a crisis where a security guard shot an employee at the client's manufacturing plant in the middle of the night. It might include protests of your organization, whistleblowers, deepfakes, and more. The list can be endless and will help you prepare for just about anything. Once you have your list of scenarios, ask yourself who needs to know first? Who approves the holding statement? What channels do we use? What do we say when we don't have the full story? What can we prepare now to be able to move faster during a crisis? If those answers involve more than 3 layers of approval and a 2-day turnaround, you're not ready. If 24/7 monitoring is not in your budget, you can start with free tools. You set up Google alerts for your company name and your executive names. You can use Buffer's free tier for real-time social monitoring, or create a rotating monitoring buddy system where team members take turns checking channels during off hours. It's not perfect, but it's infinitely better than finding out a story from your mother-in-law or opening TikTok and seeing your CEO right there on the front page. You also need to build muscle memory, hold simulations, have a consistent social media monitoring program, test how quickly your team can spot, verify, and respond to something blowing up online, create content templates that are pre-approved by legal and can be populated with the specifics, build landing pages that are never published except when you need them. If you don't have crisis comms expertise on staff, identify 2 or 3 PR consultants or agencies today, not during a crisis, today. Have coffee, understand their rates and availability, and keep their emergency contact info handy. Think of it like having a plumber's number before the pipe bursts. The first time you run a crisis drill should not be the day your CEO ends up trending on TikTok or Reddit. All of this preparation will help you respond in real time and ensure the story is yours to tell. Great crisis communications aren't reactive, they're predictive. They acknowledge the messy humanity behind most modern crises and build a structure to absorb the shock. The goal is not to make every problem disappear. The goal is to prevent small problems from becoming existential threats. If your crisis plan is your fire escape map, the first hour is the actual fire. This is when people are looking around for signs for leadership, clarity, and control. And if they don't see it from you, they're going to assume the house is burning down. The first hour is not about having all the facts. It's about showing up. It's about presence. And in most cases, all you need is one sentence. We're aware of the situation and are actively reviewing it. Okay, this is actually 2 sentences. We are aware of the situation and are actively reviewing it. You could end there, or you could continue with, we will provide updates every hour, so please check back. That's it. You're not confirming, you're not denying, you're not issuing a legal treatise. You're simply letting the world and your employees know that the company is alive, engaged, and not waiting for TMZ to publish the first draft of the narrative. But that kind of speed does not happen by accident. You need to be able to do that. You need a pre-authorized response team empowered to speak without waiting for the full board to weigh in. You need weekend and holiday coverage. Crises love Friday afternoons and holiday weekends. We once had a crisis hit on a Thanksgiving morning as I was elbows up in a turkey's cavity. A crisis, I literally was like, okay, sure, no problem. Yep, we got it. A crisis doesn't care that it's a holiday. Who has authority when the CEO is unreachable? Document it now. A set of pre-cleared templates for different scenarios, including executive behavior under scrutiny. You also need immediate access to your own channels, to your website, to your LinkedIn, to your internal comms platforms, and to your brand social accounts. And you need a designated spokesperson and a media contact. No scrambling to figure out who talks to the media. And remember, if you're not talking, someone else is. That could be a competitor, a former employee, or a random Reddit thread with surprising reach. Speed is often framed as a threat to accuracy. But in crisis communications, speed protects accuracy because it lets you set the tone before misinformation takes over. The goal of the first hour isn't to solve the crisis. It's to stabilize the narrative long enough to buy you some time. So we've talked through how much time you have to make a statement, 2.4 milliseconds, how to plan for an eventual crisis, and what to do in the first hour of the crisis. Now let's discuss how to prevent an issue from becoming a crisis, the importance of internal comms, and how to own the narrative. Most crises don't start as crises. They start as issues. They might be awkward, uncomfortable, maybe embarrassing, but manageable. They don't harm the financial stability or the reputation of the business yet. The longer a brand stays silent or slow, the more that moment calcifies into something bigger, a pattern, a scandal, a symbol. And once that happens, you're not just cleaning up a situation, you're defending your integrity. This is how reputational damage compounds. A video goes viral, a fake apology fills the void, your employees are left in the dark, people start pulling receipts, and now it's a thread. Then it's a theme, and then it becomes your brand story. Crises escalate when brands ignore the early signs, assume it'll blow over, and aren't prepared to make a statement instead of planning for blowback. Here's how to stop the spiral. Don't dismiss it just because it started as a joke. Some of the biggest PR disasters of the last decade began as memes. Remember when everyone wanted to throw out their crock pots because of how Jack died in This Is Us? Crock-Pot had a real issue on their hands the day after that episode aired, and it wasn't even a real thing with real people. It was fiction with actors on a TV show. Had they dismissed it, it could have ended very badly for them. They didn't, though. They handled it incredibly well. Different platforms demand different responses. A LinkedIn statement reads like corporate speak on TikTok, while a casual Instagram story feels flippant on traditional media. Know your channels and adapt your tone accordingly, but keep your core message consistent. Address misinformation quickly and clearly. Correct the record on your own channels. Don't be afraid to say, that post going around, it's not real. Just make sure you say it immediately, not hours or days later. Talk to your people. Internal communications is your early warning radar and your credibility anchor. If your team doesn't trust you during a crisis, trust me, no one else will either. And know when to escalate. Not every issue needs a news conference, but pretending something isn't serious when the public clearly thinks it is will only inflame the issue so it becomes a crisis. A moment only becomes a movement if you leave it untended long enough for others to shape it into something bigger. So monitor the memes, track the tone. Don't forget your dark social, your private Slack channels, your WhatsApp group, your Discord servers, and industry forums where crises often similar before boiling over publicly. And assign team members to keep a pulse on these spaces where your stakeholders gather. And most of all, respond like you're already in the story because you are. As you monitor what's happening externally, don't ignore your internal audience. You cannot expect the public to trust you if your own people find out about the crisis from the internet with the rest of the world. Yet that's exactly what happens far too often. The external narrative spins out of control, and employees are left refreshing Slacker teams, wondering when, if leadership will acknowledge what's happening. Meanwhile, someone's aunt has already texted them the TMZ article. Here's the thing. Your employees aren't just bystanders. They're stakeholders. They're brand ambassadors. They're on the front lines answering questions from customers, partners, and probably even their families. If they don't know what's going on, or worse, if they feel like the last to know, they'll start writing their own scripts, and they may not be kind or accurate. Let me say this plainly. Internal comms is not a separate track in a crisis. It's the foundation. Here are some best practices to think about from an internal perspective. Alert your employees before you say anything publicly. Even if all you can say is, we're looking into it, say it to them first. Equip people with messaging, not a full-blown frequently asked questions, but enough so they don't panic or misrepresent the situation. Ensure that they know the process to follow should someone ask them questions. You typically want one or two people to speak on behalf of the company, so equip everyone else with the responses should they be asked. And it could just very well be, I don't know the answer to your question, but let me refer you to so-and-so, and then make sure that the spokesperson gets back to that person. Ensure everyone knows the policy on their personal social media too. Usually, what you'll want to do is share official statements only, direct questions to designated spokespeople, and then resist the urge to defend or explain on personal platforms. And trust me, the urge is there. I've had so many crises that we've worked through where the client's employees want to defend their company and their colleagues online. They cannot do it. Do not let them do it. There is a process for this. You also want to create safe places for internal dialogue. People will have questions. Let them ask them. It's better inside your walls than in a viral screenshot. And then reinforce your values. This is the time to show what your company stands for. When comms teams silo internal from external response, they lose credibility where it matters most. Because if your employees don't believe you're handling it well, you can't expect that anyone else will either. In a perfect world, facts would set the narrative, but we don't live in that world. We live in one powered by content velocity, screenshot culture, and AI generated everything. So when you leave a vacuum, it will be filled. In the Coldplay Kiss Cam saga, we saw this happen in real time. The company said nothing, so the internet said everything. It made jokes, some very funny ones. It created memes, some I shared. And then someone posted a fake apology statement that actually looked like the real thing, minus the last sentence of it, which was really bad. It had all of the right ingredients. It had the brand logo, legal sounding language, plausible timing, exactly the tone that people expected. And it was shared widely with zero verification. And remember, viral doesn't respect borders. The Kiss Cam moment went global within hours, crossing time zones and cultural contexts. If you have international stakeholders, your response timing and cultural sensitivity must account for Sydney waking up while New York sleeps. If your audience has already written your apology for you, you've waited too long. Even after the company clarified that the apology was fake, the correction barely rippled. By then, the narrative had already been hardened, and truth rarely outruns a great meme. This is the modern cost of silence. It doesn't just let someone else tell your story, it lets them create it. To be clear, you don't need to panic post or over explain, but you do need to occupy your own narrative space early and consistently. Even a single sentence issued quickly can slow the spread of fiction long enough for facts to find footing. Because once the vacuum is full, you're not fighting for the truth, you're fighting to be heard at all. In crisis communications, you're not just managing reputational risk, you're managing time. Every second you wait, that's a story someone else gets to write. Every hour you delay, that's a meme you didn't get to fact check. Every day you say stay silent, that's an audience that assumes the worst and shares it. The clock isn't ticking, it's publishing. We're operating in a world where AI can synthesize a plausible sounding apology faster than your team can get on Zoom, where TikTokers break news and screenshots outpace statements, where no comment isn't interpreted as caution, it's read as cowardice, cover up, and complete chaos. So, no, you don't need all the facts before you speak, but you do need the discipline to show up early, stay human, and be accountable. Say something, say it fast, and say it honestly. I used to say you should be prepared if a crisis hits, but today it's not if, it's when. Be ready. The more prepared you are, the easier it is to get through the news cycle fairly unscathed. And when it's over, don't just move on. Schedule a no-blame debrief within 48 hours. What worked, what didn't, what almost broke. Update your playbook accordingly. The best crisis plan is one that's been battle-tested and then made better. And speaking of unexpected plot twists, in a move that feels straight out of a Ryan Murphy limited series, Astronomer hired Gwyneth Paltrow, yes, Chris Martin's ex-wife, as its temporary spokesperson. Let's let that sink in. The company at the center of the Coldplay Kiss Cam saga is now represented by the former spouse of the guy who was performing when it all went down. Whether you think it's savvy or surreal, I personally am in the latter camp. One thing's for sure. They're not letting the internet write the ending this time. So here's your final crisis comms takeaway. If you wait long enough, the story will get stranger. If you move fast enough, the story stays yours. If you want to learn more about how to prepare for the unthinkable, join us in the Spin Sucks community. It's a great place to get advice, brainstorm ideas, and build real relationships with your peers. You can find us at spinsucks.com/spin-sucks-community. That's spinsucks.com/spin-sucks-community. And make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. We're posting tips, how-tos, cheat sheets, and more every week. I'll see you next week.